Rachel White is a cocktail waitress at a truck stop strip club in an interstate cowtown in Central California. As her life spirals out of control, poverty and paranoia force her to make a string of increasingly desperate decisions. Decisions that will lead her to the Hell Patrol, a paramilitary organization of hot rod driving mercenaries that hunt demons for fame and fortune. This is Hell Patrol Origins.
Chapter 12 is zombie time.
12.
Welcome to El Segundo, California, formerly the home of Mattel, the makers of Barbie and Hot Wheels cars, and of course, the entire American aerospace industry. When the demons invaded LA, they set the progress of U.S. air power back 30 years by killing all the best rocket scientists in the country in one fell swoop, Henry said.
You think they did that on purpose? Rachel asked.
Dunno. Demons ain't exactly strategically brilliant. They're great at manipulating and corrupting people, making them sin and shit. But I don't think any random-ass imp in hell knows what a jet fighter or a satellite is. Probably just worked out for them. Anyway, that's the history lesson, Henry shrugged.
Rachel watched as he lit up a cigar and stared over the crumbling rail on the side of the freeway off-ramp. They had taken the decrepit, collapsing 105 freeway all the way to its end, where it merged back onto the street with all four lanes, right between the town of El Segundo and the LAX airport. Rachel had never seen the end of a freeway before. She wasn't sure they ever ended, or how. Of course, she knew that made sense. A freeway had to end somewhere. She had just never actually seen one. Smashed and destroyed cars lined either side of the traffic lanes on the freeway, which was falling into ruin. Rachel had asked Henry earlier if it was safe to drive on it, and without even thinking, Henry smiled and told her it definitely wasn't. Nobody had used the freeway since the war, at least nobody that wasn't in Hell Patrol. The entirety of LA had fallen into ruin following the siege of Los Angeles and the Battle of LAX, the last great fight in the war where Mephistopheles betrayed Asmodeus and turned the war in the favor of the humans. Behind her, Rachel could still see the smoking craters on the tarmac of the airport where the broken wrecks of airplanes still smoldered. It was here, back in 2006, where Asmodeus was using the airport as a staging ground and a supply dump. When Mephistopheles put a dagger in his back to side with humanity, he turned his demonic artillery on the tarmac and rained fire on the legions of Asmodeus, destroying the rearguard and command section of the Devil's army and paralyzing it. So fierce and esoteric was the demonic bombardment that the infernal fires in the craters still smoldered 13 years later. Henry said he wasn't sure if they'd ever go out. It was some kind of witchy demon shit. That was par for the course here. They were parked roughly 300 yards from the slope where the freeway dropped down onto the street. Henry explained that they usually use this area to create high ground, corralling the zombies they were leading like lambs to the slaughter. Henry explained that a year before, when he and his friends started coming out to LAX to zombie hunt, they set up a killing field using the off-ramp. They rented some big trucks with tow winches and pulled all the abandoned and destroyed cars into the breakdown lane to make room and clear a path. Then, one of the Hell Patrol drivers would play the role of the Judas Goat. Rachel had to ask what that was.
Oh, you never heard of that shit? Man. Oh, shit, man. Oh, Oh, those edibles kicked in. Sounds like Bible shit, but it isn't. Well, actually, it kind of is. So anyway, in meatpacking plants, the Judas goat is the goat they use to lead the cows up the ramp to the slaughterhouse. The cows just follow him in. The workers pull the goat off the line right before the bad part, so he can lead more cows in. Back in World War II, we did the same thing with bomber planes. The lead plane was the Judas goat, and they painted a bunch of goofy-looking clown crap on it like polka dots and shit so it was easier to see. The other bombers in the group would form up on the Judas goat bomber to get information, Henry explained.
So they call it a Judas goat because the goat betrays the cows and leads them to the slaughter? Why do they call the bomber plane the Judas goat? Rachel asked.
Grim sense of humor, same reason. Flying bombers back then wasn't exactly healthy. Anyway, we haven't had that problem yet, Henry admitted.
Rachel looked out over the El Segundo freeway. Fuck that up. There's no such thing as an El Segundo freeway, guys. It's the 105 and the 110 and the 405 going right up through it. All right, sorry, restarting the paragraph. Rachel looked out over El Segundo from the freeway. Immediately in front of her were some dangerously leaning, unstable office towers. They reminded her of burnt-out corn cobs that her and her friends had thrown on a fire once to see if it would make popcorn. On the other side of those gray, soulless monoliths, there was a rolling spread of blackened and burned-down houses and streets choked with debris and abandoned cars. Rachel wondered where all of these zombies they were going to kill supposedly were. So do they hide during the day or something? Rachel asked.
Oh, shit. They mill about aimlessly, shuffling and standing around until they see or hear prey, mostly hearing it because their eyeballs have rotted out. A lot of times there's big pockets of them trapped in basements or parking garages, just waiting. That's the only time they move. Otherwise, they'll just stand there until they rot back into dust, Henry explained.
So they're not really dangerous at all.
Not to somebody in a jacked-up Mad Max car, but for normal, unarmed people, yeah. Oh, yeah, they can kill you. It's slow, and it ain't pretty, but they can get you. Place ain't fit for reconstruction and habitation till you get rid of them all. Don't want zombies popping up where your kid goes to school and shit.
Can they infect?
Oh, come on, girl. I told you this already, it's not that kind of zombie. Literally just a walking corpse. No apocalypse movie zombie shit. They are animated by cultists. Traitor necromancers who threw their lot in with the demons and gave up on humanity. The gangs of cultists set up these ritual sites and it raises the dead.
But if zombies are such shitty soldiers, why bother? Rachel asked.
It's a deterrent. Keeps normal people away. Allows them to work on bigger shit, trying to get their demon buddies back. Now that all the hell gates are closed and Mephistopheles is working for us on the other side, it's harder for them to attract demons, so they have to start at the bottom and work their way up the ladder. Zombies are cheap security. Low-level demonologists can set up the ritual site with ease. Wherever you find zombies, cultists have been.
Rachel turned, saw a single vehicle approaching from the east, from down the freeway. From where she was standing, it looked like a big black brick, shimmering in the heat of the morning sun on the asphalt.
That's Dajiban. He's the Judas goat on zombie farms, Henry said,
looking past Rachel at the approaching van. As the brick got closer, Rachel was able to pick out the details. It was a Dodge van, but it had been modified extensively. Rachel noticed racing wheels, and it didn't sound like any Dodge engine she had ever heard. Someone had gotten under the hood and really done some Frankenstein shit to it. Rachel also noticed that it had the side window and modified roof of an ice cream truck. There was a large machine gun and some other kind of homemade weapon that looked like welded together scrap metal on the roof of the van. Dodge van. I get it, Rachel said.
Yeah, It's, literally Japanese for Tachban.
Is it really? Rachel asked.
That's what they call racing vans over there. They race vans. They race the shit out of them and take them to the track. It's a Dajiban, Henry explained.
So you call him Dajiban. Does everyone get a nickname? Rachel asked.
Everyone earns one,
Henry said, and took a deep drag from his cigar. Who's the other girl you said I'd meet today? Lipstick? How'd she get that name? Rachel asked.
Oh, it's short for lipstick lesbian.
Rachel looked at Henry sideways. So the guys get cool nicknames, and the girls get nicknames based on their sexuality?
Sometimes. For you, probably not.
Why's that? Rachel asked.
Clorox, Casper the Friendly Ghost, Milk, White Bread.
Henry started rattling off nicknames based on Rachel's marble-white demonic skin.
Besides, she likes that name. She got it from a jealous ex-girlfriend. Oh, and before you ask, we don't date co-workers.
Is that a Hell Patrol policy?
If you're on this crew, it is. We don't mix business and pleasure here. Unless you get off on loud noises like gunfire and turbo.
Rachel let the issue drop. The Frankenstein ice cream truck Dodge van pulled up behind Henry's Monaro, and a man opened the door and stepped out. Rachel could see that he was a chubby tiefling of Asian descent, with curling horns and dusky red skin. She couldn't place his exact heritage, either because the demonic features of the tiefling obscured them, or because she had been in a secluded orphanage her whole life, and never learned the subtle difference between Asian ethnicities.
Dajiban, this is Rachel. She's a virgin, but she can drive. Anyang haseyo.
Anyang fucking what? Rachel asked. It's Korean for hello. I'm Korean American, Dajiban explained. And yeah, everyone assumes I'm Japanese because of the Dajiban. Oh shit, I'm sorry. Rachel apologized, catching herself in the same mistake. Don't worry about it. If you gotta choose between getting stereotyped for being tiefling or stereotyped for being Asian, I'll take the second one. Dajiban laughed. I'd rather not be stereotyped for anything, Rachel said. Forget it. The world's full of assholes and we get paid big bucks to shoot the worst of them. Oh hey, Knight Rider, I got a text from Lipstick. She's running a little late.
She got caught up in some pussy again, didn't she? That girl's a bigger poon hound than we are.
Your fucking nickname is Knight Rider? That's so lame. Rachel laughed, ignoring the other sexual comment.
You never seen Mad Max? That dude's my fucking hero. He's the whole reason I drive this shitbox. Oh, man. I really shouldn't have fucked with that edible.
Henry grinned and slapped the hood of his car. You'll learn to get a thick skin in this job, Dajiban said. I know we aren't hunting demons today, but when you meet the ones that talk, if they get a chance to say something to you before you put a barrel in their mouth and blow their heads off, they say the most offensive, awful, worst shit they can think of to try to scare you or manipulate you. They're demons. It's what they do. Eventually, you completely stop giving a shit about someone making fun of your race or your sex or your dumbass nickname.
Oh yeah, can you imagine what the Ring of Solomon is gonna say to her? Henry said. Oh, I'll explain that later. Hopefully it'll never be important. I think I hear Lipstick's fair lady coming down the westbound. Let's show the new girl what's up.
So I'm the Judas Goat. He told me about the Judas Goat and leading the zombies into a kill box, Rachel said. Okay, did he tell you where the kill box was? Dajiban asked. Rachel realized that Henry didn't tell her that. Look down the ramp. See all that charcoal shoved to the sides of the freeway? Dajiban asked. Rachel had noticed the knee-high piles of burned-up matter blown against the retaining walls of the concrete freeway earlier, but among all the other dystopian devastation of the historic war zone, she didn't think much of it at first. Those are all the zombies from the last time we did this. I'm going to lead them up the ramp. You guys are going to be waiting there. I'll bust a U-turn, and you'll all form up with me on point. Then, we clean the ramp, Dajiban said. There's human remains under all that ash? Dozens? Rachel asked. Hundreds. We shoot them down and burn them up, so they can't be defiled and raised again. A necromantic ritual can raise a zombie that you shot down, but it can't raise a pile of charcoal. Once we mow them all down, we use white phosphorus to burn them all up. Cleans up the ramp so we can use it again, Dajiban said.
Oh yeah, it's super dangerous stuff. We could just throw it at them from the cars, but we like to gun them down first. White phosphorus, or Willy Pete, is nothing to fuck around with. It burns and burns and burns until it is completely out of oxygen and fuel. Turns a dried out corpse into a pile of ash. They used to use it in Vietnam to burn down the jungle and whatever else was in it. They'd throw it down Viet Cong tunnels, and all the Viet Cong in the tunnels would die of asphyxiation when Willy Pete burned up all the oxygen in the tunnel system. Really fucked up war crime shit, Henry said.
Why do you know all this weird shit about military weapons? Rachel asked.
They let us use all the cool toys that they decided were too immoral to use on humans. Thankfully, demons and undead ain't humans. And necromancy cults are traitors to humanity, so if we catch them, they get it just as bad.
Henry pulled Rachel to the side and whispered something in her ear as Dajiban hopped back up into the seat of his van to pull something out of the glove box.
This is also one of the ways we solve problems for our people. Your girl having trouble getting rid of her ex-pimp? Your stalker come around again? We bag him and tag him, throw the body on a zombie bonfire. Nobody will ever find them.
Rachel didn't have time to process the menacing intent behind Henry's words. She had been told many times that Hell Patrol made problems go away, but not how they made them go away. Before she could even think about what he had said, she simply accepted it as a fact of life in a post-war world where good people had to do bad things to defeat worse people. When she was about to ask about it, Dajiban shut the door of his van and started talking to Henry from his window. We cleaned out West Gundo pretty good last time. Want to finish east of Sepulveda or try to empty out some of the parking garages around the airport? Dajiban asked.
East Gundo is all commercial parks and towers. There barely would have been anyone there when the war popped off. They all would have fled. We're better off running out the parking garages. There's probably some gold at the bottom of those holes.
I agree, but shit in East Gundo would be easier to get to if it's there. Easier to salvage if we find some good shit.
Yeah, normally I'd take that, but the new girl needs cash, so I say let's go for the payday. Besides, you know those fucking necromancers love setting up shop in those damn garages. Bet we can get a nice bonus for cleansing a ritual site.
If we're lucky, there might be something worth towing out of one of those garages, too. Alright, I'll head north up Sepulveda and see what I can see. Rachel watched as Dajiban put on a giant pair of noise-canceling headphones, the expensive kind that serious musicians preferred. She wondered why at first, not thinking that his van was that obscenely loud, even with all the aftermarket upgrades. When Dajiban flipped the switch and turned on the ice cream truck jingle, though, Rachel began to understand what the headphones were for, and how it could be so irritating. Dajiban put his vehicle in gear, pulled out, and headed back up the freeway to the exit ramp for Sepulveda North. As his van disappeared out of sight over the curve of the off-ramp, Rachel saw a new car approaching from the distance, its engine noise subtle and muted on the wind beneath the annoying screech of the ice cream jingle.
The Unfair Lady. Probably one of the coolest cars in Hell Patrol, if you're into JDM,
Henry said. It was Lipstick. Rachel watched as a bright purple Datsun 240Z pulled up. It had iridescent, gaudy, glittering paint, at least where there was paint still on it. The hood had been chopped up to make room for twin turbos, and on the fenders, where the side view mirrors normally were on an old Z car, were a pair of miniguns with big fat hoppers of ammo fed into them. while the front of the car was still noticeably the original vehicle under the cage of armor and bars and weapons that festooned all Hell Patrol cars. Rachel could see that there were heavy plates of armor all over the trunk lid and rear quarters, and these panels were scored, dinged, and divoted with what had to be bullet impacts. The unpaired lady pulled up alongside them and the window rolled down. Then the zombie screen on the window popped open, and a woman climbed up out onto the door, as if it was inoperable, and the way doors didn't work on race cars. Rachel had assumed that it had been welded shut for safety purposes. The girl that got up and perched herself on the windowsill of the door was breathtaking. She had creamy, human skin, a beautiful coffee-colored mocha that was unmarred by the garish dye of demonic corruption. However, there was no mistaking she was a tiefling, as she still had a tail, and her horns, like a bull's, stretched out from her brow on either side. Rachel was jealous and intimidated by her looks. Despite her tiefling features, the girl was gorgeous in a way that oozed sexuality. She could kill a man with a stare while wearing lingerie or wearing sweatpants. So powerful was her visage. It reminded her of the womanly curves that Valerie had, that men lusted after, but where Valerie's body was proportioned to the point of almost cartoonish pornography, this woman was a classic beauty, a long-legged pin-up queen from a burlesque poster or an airbrush painting. The woman caught her staring, and her lip curled coyly. Rachel remembered that Henry had told her, not even half an hour ago, that Hell Patrollers didn't date Hell Patrollers, at least not in the crew that Henry operated with. Rachel could see why, even if she wasn't interested in girls. The nickname Lipstick made more and more sense. This woman was either blessed or cursed. Her sexuality would follow her everywhere she went, to her advantage or to her chagrin.
Lipstick, this is Rachel. She can drive, Henry said.
Lipstick tilted her horns, smiled. Where'd you learn? Go-karts mostly, and some hooning around in my hot rod Volkswagen, at least until my shithead friends wrecked it, Rachel said. More experience than most tieflings. Probably won't get to prove it today, though. Why are there bullet holes in the back of your car? Do demons use guns? Rachel asked. When you're driving Judas Goat for zombie runs, you take a big, loud, slow truck that can punch its way through a zombie horde, Lipstick explained. But when you drive Judas Goat for demons, they chase you. Really chase you. Sometimes you need your buddy to scratch your back, so we put tombstones on the back of the cars. That way you can blast a demon holding onto the back of the car without fear of hitting your friends. The 7.62 rounds in your machine guns can't penetrate these plates.
Demons don't wear armor, unless they have dinosaur scales or they're giant bugs or whatever, Henry added. Oh, fuck. They just use whatever they've got. For the most part, that means they're easy to shoot down with small caliber weapons, because they're mostly just angry flesh sacks. So we rely on volume of fire and sound and fury rather than accuracy or penetration.
Because it's hard to drive and shoot at the same time, or because you're just not good at it? Rachel finished.
A little bit of both, but there's more to it. Demons respond to violence and brutality. It's what they're about. We've had tieflings come through Hell Patrol that could actually shoot. Guys who were in the military. They always tried to shake things up by going quality over quantity, Henry explained.
It never works, Lipstick shrugged. Demons aren't intimidated by shock or precision the way people are. If you're standing around minding your own business, and suddenly your friend's head explodes from a sniper bullet, you would dive for cover or run. A demon wouldn't. They don't see death the same way we do, and they're soft targets that clump up and get mowed down. Overwhelming force is the only thing they respect. So if they're so dumb and easy to kill, how did we ever lose the war without Mephistopheles' help? Rachel asked. Humans are dead when they're dead. When demons die on Earth, they just go back to hell. While the Hellgates were open, The demons had infinite reinforcements. It was like a video game for them. They died and just popped back up in the respawn room, Lipstick explained. Closing the Hellgates cuts them off, but it didn't change their strategy. They still come at us recklessly, straight on, like they're gonna get another chance, Lipstick explained. Oh, Rachel said.
Yeah, this is all shit we all had to figure out or be told. Public education ain't exactly great, and they don't tell you a lot about it when you sign up. Veteran Hell Patrollers are usually the best resource, Henry said.
Rachel could hear the jingle of the ice cream truck in the distance. Without the engines roaring, the airport and the freeway were dead silent. There was no sound except for the dodgy band lumbering through the ruins. As the van crossed between collapsed buildings and the giant piles of rubble that were once structures, the sound of the jingle was deadened by the intervening terrain, and when the van came out and the jingle was unobstructed, it was louder.
He really took a wide loop today. Must have found a good pocket,
Henry said. Went to his car to retrieve a set of binoculars. Rachel watched as Henry pointed the binoculars in the direction of the jingle. It looked. A smile split his face, and Rachel had to assume he was pleased. Lipstick seemed to notice too. Payday for the new girl? She asked.
Oh, it's gonna be a good day for everyone. He's got a hell of a pack behind him. There must be a ritual site in one of those parking garages. Those fucking cultists, man, they love parking garages.
He handed the binoculars to Rachel and pointed where to look. Rachel put the glass to her eyes, found the dodgy band almost instantly thanks to the jingle. There was a plume of flame shooting out of the roof of the van, and Rachel realized that the massive pipes and scrap metal on the van was some kind of garage-built flamethrower. It was burning up the zombies that got too close to the slow-moving van. As for the zombies themselves, they were as deep as far as she could see, wall-to-wall across the street in every lane of traffic. They plodded along behind the van, chasing it mindlessly, in various states of decay. Most of them looked dried up and emaciated, dead for a long time. Rachel realized they must have been killed in the war, their corpses never recovered. It made sense now that they were animated by magic, and not some sci-fi movie virus, because not even a virus could have made some of those desiccated corpses move. Rachel gave the binoculars back to Henry. Dodgy Band was turning back across the street now, maneuvering the horde to the ramp where the freeway ended. A giant, gentle slope where all 4 lanes just flowed back down to the street and became a highway. It was here that the Hell Patrollers would mow the lawn.
Get in your car, form up on my right, Henry said.
Rachel went to get back in her car. Lipstick snaked her way back through her window into her driver's seat and turned her key. Rachel heard Henry's Monaro start up as well. The unfair lady in the Monaro pulled out into the traffic lanes at the freeway. Rachel saw where Henry wanted her to put her car. They would make a wall of bullets and steel across the freeway that no horde of zombies could pass, at least not as long as they had ammo. Slowly, Dodgy Band approached the ramp. Then, right when he reached the angle where the ramp started becoming the freeway, he stepped on the gas and left the zombies in the lurch, putting several more car lengths between him and them. He motored up through the eye of the needle that the other cars had made, drove behind it, turned around, and then filled in the slot that was left for him. Rachel watched in awe as the flamethrower on the roof rotated forward on some kind of motorized device. The jingle shut off. There was only the sound of the humming engines and the shuffling dead. A crackle on the radio broke the silence. "All right, boys and girls, let's mow the lawn." It was Dodgy Band, and the van lurched forward again. There was an ominous red light on top of the giant machine gun on the roof of the van, mounted above the barrel. Rachel knew it was the recording light for the gun camera. She flipped the switches on her own safeties, and her guns went hot. So too did the cameras that recorded her kills, wired into the trigger switches. Trigger switches. The zombies shambled up the ramp. The van went forward first. Henry and Lipstick fell in on either side of him, about a length behind. Rachel gently pushed the gas and maintained her place on Henry's right. There was a sound louder than thunder as the giant gun on top of the van erupted into life, and what looked like a stream of lightning flew through the zombie horde, and a chain of the undead popped like water balloons under the impact of those gigantic, torpedo-like bullets. Dodgy Band's gun was the M2 Browning, the one that Henry had told her about earlier. So massive and destructive they only put it on trucks and vans. Each bullet out of that gun was the size of a Coke bottle. Henry opened up, and so did Lipstick. Her miniguns chirped so fast that it was impossible to hear the sound of any one bullet being fired. It was just a spinning, rotating wall of noise and fire. There was an immediate fog of blood and flying body parts in front of her car. She laid on her triggers as she rolled forward. Zombies fell apart in front of her like they were Barbie dolls with their heads torn off. While her weapons were not as loud or spectacular as Dodgy Bands or Lipsticks, they were certainly getting the job done. Rachel's shoulder stumps twitched under her jacket against the back of her seat. She felt the rush of violence, the kill, the knowledge that every zombie that dropped in front of her guns was money in her pocket. This was it? This was what they paid her for? This was child's play. No wonder they didn't care if the new recruits couldn't shoot or drive. A monkey could mow down zombies. It was slow moving, but it only took about 15 minutes. The ramp of the freeway was a carpet of dead flesh, knee-deep, and black floods of stagnant and decaying blood that had been sitting inside of corpses for years ran down the ramp in rivers to pool on the flat ground. It would have smelled obscene if it wasn't overpowered by the scent of gun smoke and hot brass that clung to the cars. When everything was dead, and the Hell Patrol had driven over the pile of corpses from one end of the ramp to the other, Dodgy Band dismounted, opened up the back of the van, and pulled out a large green army crate. He went around to each car, handing 5 or 6 grenades through the windows to each driver. They turned around and drove back up the ramp, dropping a can of Willy Pete every 10 yards to burn up the corpses. When they reached the apex of the ramp, they stopped and parked. "That was it?" Rachel asked.
That was the work part, and that was the fun part,
Henry said. He had popped the trunk of his car. There was a microwave wired into the car's electrical system. He handed Rachel a can of coffee, threw some instant noodles in the microwave.
Breakfast of champions.
He said, sipping his coffee. Most of them came from a garage. They were packed in, which means there was a ritual site. Zombies are raised by and attracted to necromantic rituals. It's like a switch that the cultists just turn on. Once they start it, it just works by itself, Dodgy Band explained. "So we'll find the cultists?" Rachel asked. "Not likely. They flee the scene once they start it up. Zombies can't tell the difference. They'll attack any living thing. Only powerful necromancers can actually control them. And most cultists are chumps. Making zombie farms is entry-level cult shit," Lipstick said.
It's payday. We clean out the garage, close up the ritual site, and if we're lucky, maybe somebody parked something cool in there years ago. We'll bring a tow truck back later and haul it away,
Henry said. "But you're rich. You can buy anything you want," Rachel replied. "Yeah, it's more fun sometimes when you find it.
You feel like you're finding treasure. Besides, whoever owned it before is dead. You're not hurting anyone,"
Dodgy Band said. Henry slurped his microwave noodles, put his fork in his mouth, held it in his teeth, then used his free hands to rifle through the contents of his truck, which in addition to the microwave was still the pile of guns, boxes of bullets, and various instant lunches and canned coffee drinks that Rachel had seen already.
"You got your little pop gun on you, right?" Henry asked.
Rachel opened her jacket to reveal her pistol in an inside pocket.
"Nice. Here, borrow this. Throw it in your car for now. I'll get it back from you when we leave.
He picked up one of the guns that he had shown her earlier, the Calico, and handed it to her. Then he picked up a spare Calico magazine, which was some kind of helical canister, and shoved it into one of the pockets of Rachel's jacket.
Zombies are easy to put down, but not to keep down. That's why you gotta shred them to confetti and burn them. You don't just pop them in the head or heart and expect them to go down. They're long past the point of giving a shit about internal organs. When we go into some place shady like a ritual site, you gotta bring firepower. A shotgun or an SMG. Something that will saw them in half in a hail of lead, Henry explained. Oh yeah, by the way, anybody else want some noodles?
I'm on a diet, man. I'm making too much money and eating too much steak lately. I gotta eat some broccoli or something, Dodgy Band shrugged. You're too hard on yourself. Those strippers you like don't care that you're chubby, Lipstick said. Yeah, but I care. If I'm gonna fuck a hot girl, I want to see my dick going into her when I'm doing it, Dodgy Band said. He looked straight at Rachel, then realized what he had said. Oh shit, I'm sorry. I was too comfortable around my friends. I didn't mean to. It's fine. I used to be a cocktail waitress at Hellhole, Rachel replied. She had heard a lot worse than what Dodgy Band had said. Honestly, it's not even bad. It's good that you care enough about yourself. I can't eat that crap, Lipstick added.
Bunch of fucking new money bourgeois tieflings make a little cash in the Hell Patrol and suddenly they're too good for dollar store microwave noodles.
Henry laughed. Then he threw the empty noodle cup into a pile of burning corpses. He relit his cigar and got back into his car. Dodgy Band pulled out in front again, and Lipstick and Henry fell in behind him. Rachel pulled up behind Henry and followed. The lumbering van led them down the Sepulveda northbound off-ramp, back towards LAX, and the parking garage, where Dodgy Band had found the concentration of zombies. About a mile or two up the street, Rachel wasn't sure because of all the half-destroyed ruins looked the same, and there were very few stoplights still standing to mark the corridors. Dodgy Band pulled into a parking structure. Rachel knew better than to ask if it was safe, because it definitely wasn't. She could see chunks of masonry and bare rebar in the blasted concrete, and knew that it was damaged to the foundations. It didn't stop her from following the others into the garage, though. The catacomb darkness of the garage was illuminated by the headlights of the Dodgy Band, and in front of her, Rachel heard the loud kaboom of a shotgun blast, saw a zombie straggler blasted into the confetti near the window of the Dodgy Band. These were the zombies that were already too crippled or just stuck, and couldn't get out of the structure and chase the van the first time they heard it come around with the ice cream jingle. The Dodgy Band stopped randomly after it turned a corner on the next level. The other car stopped behind it. Dodgy Band and Henry both got out of their cars, guns in hand, headlights still on. Rachel could see the Dodgy Band had some kind of pump shotgun. Henry had that big AK-style shotgun with the ridiculous large banana clip. She had already forgotten what it was called.
Oh, fuck. You see something?
Henry asked. Dodgy Band pointed the barrel of his shotgun at a parked car directly across from his van.
97 Corvette. Piece of shit.
Henry spat dismissively on the concrete. Sure, but if the engine is still good, it can be a donor car for an LS swap. Damn thing was only 2 years old when the war started. It probably has low miles, Dodgy Band said.
Not a bad idea,
Henry said. Rachel watched as he turned the gun around in his hands, walked up to the Corvette, and used the stock of the gun to smash the window out. He reached over the broken glass and opened the car from the inside door handle and stepped back. A zombie flopped out of the driver's seat, fell onto the concrete, and began crawling towards Henry. He nonchalantly stepped back, allowed it to scramble after him across the floor, and when it got into the middle of the lane, he pointed the gun down at it and contemptuously blew its torso out with a single shell to its chest. The zombie's remains flew across the parking garage in opposite directions, and what was left was a smear on the concrete and a smoking shell ejected from Henry's gun. He sat down in the Corvette, pulled a small flashlight from the pocket of his jacket and read the odometer.
65,000,
he said. See, rich asshole barely had it and put any miles on it. Damn thing's fresh, Dajiban said.
It's been sitting for 20 years. The fluids will have turned to mud and then dust.
We've had Cooter clean up worse. Henry shrugged, popped the hood, then got out to check out the engine. He held the flashlight in his teeth.
Gonna need a full teardown, but it's not bad, he mumbled around the flashlight.
If the tires hold air, we'll tow it out of here with my van. Otherwise, I'll come back with a flatbed, Dajiban said.
Your call.
Henry closed the hood, put the flashlight back in his pocket. He got back into his car. As they turned the corner and went up another level, Rachel heard and saw more shotgun blasts coming from the windows of Dajiban and Henry's cars. And she saw that Lipstick had some kind of gun poking out of her driver's side window as well. The zombies were thicker here, stuck between parked cars that had rusted out into hulks or were just crawling around on the concrete. Rachel watched in sick fascination as the skull of one of them exploded into dry, black, crusty gore under the tire of Lipstick's car in front of her, illuminated by her headlights. They're thick here. This is probably our ritual site. You guys scope it out. I'll clear the roof level, Dajiban said over the CB radio. The van pulled forward and around a corner, but Henry and Lipstick stopped at an empty space, where 2 or 3 cars had been towed or pushed out of their slots to make room for something. What it was, Rachel couldn't see. She saw Henry get out of his car, and Lipstick as well, guns in their hands. A couple of zombies shambled towards Henry, but he puffed his cigar, unaffected and nonchalant. He took 3 steps to his left. The zombies followed, lining up in a single-file line to follow him. He leveled the shotgun, blew the zombies into paste. 2 birds with 1 stone.
That never gets old.
He smiled over his shoulder at Lipstick and Rachel. We got a fresh one, Lipstick said, pointing her gun barrel at the cleared-out parking spaces. Rachel got out and looked where Lipstick was pointing. In the empty parking spaces, an elaborate chalk drawing of some kind of summoning circle, at least that's what she assumed it was scrawled out on the concrete. There was a 6-pointed star in the middle, and at each point was a skull with a burned-down candle on it. I kind of expected some kind of crazy portal to another dimension, like in a video game or something, Rachel said. Yeah, necromancy can be really disappointing like that. For how powerful and creepy it is, it's not very dramatic, right? Lipstick added.
You got the camera?
Henry asked. Lipstick reached into her car through the open window and pulled out a Polaroid camera. She took a few snaps of the ritual site, waved the Polaroids, and tossed them into the seat of her car with the camera when she was finished. Gotta get photographic evidence of everything you do. That's how they pay us. If you don't catch it on your gun cams, you gotta catch it with something. We use Polaroids because you don't have to wait for the photos to get developed at the drugstore to get paid, Lipstick explained.
Now for the weird esoteric part. If you were disappointed by the lack of theatrics, you'll get your money's worth now, Henry said.
Rachel walked up to the ritual circle and scuffed one of the chalk lines with her boot. As she did, the chalk caught fire, mysteriously, as if it was made of magnesium, and soon the whole ritual circle was a poof of white smoke, gone, as if it had never existed, with only the flame-blackened skulls left over to give away its position. What the fuck did you just do? Lipstick asked.
Huh?
Henry turned. He was getting something out of his trunk again, and missed the split second that it took for the whole ritual circle to evaporate into smoke. I don't know, Rachel cried, stepping backwards. She felt the stumps on her shoulders twitch and squirm, and knew in the back of her head that something strange and demonic had just happened, and that she did it, but she wasn't sure how or why. Those kind of things frightened her. It's gone. It's fucking gone. It's as if it was deactivated, Lipstick gasped. Deactivated? Rachel said.
We can't just hit it with a hose or smear the chalk and wash it away. A demon has to close and seal the circle. Normally we call up a demon from the court of Mephistopheles to do it for us, Henry said.
We summon a demon to get rid of demonic shit? Rachel asked. From the court of Mephistopheles, Lipstick reminded her. One that was on our side during the war. The treaty with the Vatican makes them bound to aid us. We call one up, they close it, and they go back to Purgatory where the court of Mephistopheles is held.
I didn't see shit. What the fuck happened? I was getting the ritual shit out of my trunk.
The bitch closed it. It's done. Up in smoke, just like if a demon did it, Lipstick said.
Bullshit. Tieflings can't close rituals. We're not real demons. The shrink told us so. We're like stolen sperm from a succubus or some shit. All our Halloween costume crap is pure looks.
She's a fucking Cambion, Lipstick said. The real fucking deal. She has to be. I've heard that word before, Rachel started, recalling her conversation with Dr. Atwood. You have a mark, don't you? Lipstick asked. There's a mark, like a brand, somewhere on your body, in a hard-to-find place. How'd you know? It's in my scalp, right behind my horn. You never see it if you didn't know it was there. It's under my hair, Rachel admitted. Fuck me, you really are a fucking Cambion, Lipstick said. You can close rituals. I didn't do it, though. I was just thinking about what you guys said, and I scuffed the chalk with my boot, and it just caught fire and went poof.
You closed the ritual. Only a demon can close the ritual. You are a Cambion, Henry realized.
The fuck does that mean? Doc Atwood said something about that earlier when I signed up. What does it have to do with me? How come I can burn up weird magic shit by stepping on it and you can't? Rachel asked. She must have given you the feel-good speech about how tieflings are actually human because we're succubus rape sperm collected from humans. It's supposed to make you feel less shitty about being a tiefling, Lipstick said. So? Rachel shrugged. You're a fucking Cambion. You're not some slave camp rape baby like us, a wad of snowballed sperm passed around by succubi to impregnate human victims. You're an actual fucking half-breed. Your mom was fucked by a devil, Lipstick explained. All our parents were slave camp rape victims. I don't want to talk about that shit. We all come from fucked up shit with demons, Rachel said. You came from a devil, new girl. You are something else entirely. This isn't regular demon shit. Devil, demon, whatever, Rachel shrugged. Demons can't reproduce sexually. That's why succubi have to snowball in human vaginas. Only fallen angels can procreate with humans. That's what a Cambion is. You're a fucking devil, Rachel. You're half fucking devil, Lipstick said.
Huh. Must be nice.
Henry laughed, pulled the cigar from his pocket again. The fuck are you talking about? Must be nice, Rachel glared.
You actually have a dad. Maybe you can nail him for back child support, Henry laughed.
Oh, fuck you, Henry. Fuck that. Look, it's not important. We can ask the Ring of Solomon about it when we get back to the Hell Patrol compound. The only thing you need to know right now is that you're a Cambion, and that means you're an actual devil, which means you can manipulate demonic magic without the aid of a demon. That's how you closed the portal. You willed it shut, and it bowed to your dark majesty because your deadbeat dad is a fallen angel, Lipstick said. I kind of understood all of that except, what the fuck is the Ring of Solomon? Rachel asked. From the Book of Solomon? Have you never read any demonology texts? Why would I want to read shit about the awful fuckers that raped our parents in hell-on-earth slave camps to create us? It's like reading about Hitler or Genghis Khan or something. I don't give a shit about what genocidal rapists had for breakfast in 1944, Rachel said. Well, look into it. Half that shit is part of your job now. And your family tree. Lipstick rolled her eyes.
The Ring of Solomon is a bound demon we keep in a locked closet at the Hell Patrol office. Every Hell Patrol office has one. Sometimes they're bound to serve because they were on our side in the war, servants of Mephistopheles. Sometimes they're just actual captive demons that are bound against their will and held prisoner, Henry explained.
There's a fucking demon in the Hell Patrol office? Rachel asks.
In every Hell Patrol office. It's a trade secret. Can you imagine how fucked that would be if they just told everyone? They'd burn the place down.
Yeah, I don't blame them. When were you gonna tell me? When were they gonna tell me? Rachel asked.
When they trusted you. You either die before they tell you, or you get good enough to be responsible with the knowledge. In any case, you can take your questions to the bound demon. He's required by the Ring of Solomon to answer them.
Why is it called the Ring of Solomon? Because in the Testament of Solomon, the Archangel Michael gives King Solomon a ring that controls demons. Solomon enslaves the demons to make them build the Temple of Jerusalem. It's based on that, Lipstick said. So it's an actual fucking magic ring from the Bible? Rachel asked. No, it's an allegory. We don't have an actual ring. The bound demons are provided by our pact with Mephistopheles. The Testament of Solomon wasn't even in the Bible. It's Apocrypha, Lipstick said. Are you really that...
Cut it out,
Henry said, lighting the cigar again.
Lipstick, she's not dumb. She's just had it rough. You know growing up sucked for us. How many asshole humans told you that you were paying for someone else's sins when you were a kid? You wouldn't have read all that weird Jesus and Satan crap either if you didn't take this job.
Thank you, Henry, Rachel said, her gratitude genuine. I'm sorry. I'll loan you the Cliff Notes or something, Lipstick said. I like to read.
Chapter 12, Week Cap. These edibles ain't shit. Oh, fuck, actually. Yes, they are.
Chapter 12 recap. Alright, so, this was a big chapter, but we finally actually got to get into the cars and kill something. So let's talk about what happened. Rachel goes down to El Segundo with Henry and his crew to go fight zombies. We meet Dodgy Van, who drives a modified Dodge van ice cream truck that is engineered for zombie murder. And we meet Lipstick. Lipstick is a very special character in the story because where Rachel is like the incompetent rookie that constantly has to ask questions and be told what's going on, because Rachel is of course the character that you as the reader see through the eyes of. She is the virgin experiencing the universe for the first time. That's why she's like that, so that other characters can tell you by telling Rachel what's happening in the world. Lipstick is the opposite that. Lipstick is the character that is is the badass, the one who's been around the block, and she already knows all the shit. Her car's already super badass, and she's done all the cool stuff to it. She knows everything there is to know about everything she needs to know about. She's very intense person. So Lipstick's deal, that's the most important thing you got to take away from Lipstick is that she's very single-minded and almost neurotic. Everything Lipstick does, she does to the most logical extreme. She's got a one-track mind. She's very disciplined and determined. And whatever she does all the way. Before we met Lipstick, Henry told us a little bit about her. He tells Rachel that she's pretty much the most badass veteran in Hell Patrol. Tells Rachel that she probably has the coolest Japanese car in Hell Patrol. He also tells Rachel that once Lipstick started making money as a Hell Patroller, she doubled down on it, took her car to the racetrack, bought laps, and taught herself how to drive. You'll also notice from this chapter that Lipstick is very educated on demonology. She knows all her shit, because Lipstick is very into know your foe kind of thing. So Lipstick reads, Lipstick does her homework. Lipstick is a supreme driver because she put in the effort. She's not necessarily a prodigy or just like, the the freaking super character that's always good at everything because she's just a natural Mary Sue talent. Lipstick put the work in. Lipstick is the character that when you read the back of the shampoo bottle and it says rinse and repeat, Lipstick actually repeats. And she's also not neurotypical. Lipstick is definitely an above average intelligence, and she's probably on the autism spectrum. She has a hard time accepting the fact that other people don't go as hard as she does. She regularly makes the mistake that that everyone else is as like kind of dedicated and focused as she is, and like they're not, because she's a machine when she's focused, and most people are just kind of going through their daily life, just trying to get their errands done and do shit or whatever. Lipstick's not like that. Lipstick is laser focused, and she constantly forgets that other people aren't laser focused, and it's what makes her so kind of shitty and abrasive. But Henry does catch her on that and says, and he tells her near the end of the chapter and makes her apologize, says like, hey, like not everybody goes as crazy on this shit as you do. And she's all like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I like to read. So we do want to see more of Lipstick in the future. We are going to see more of Lipstick in the future. Lipstick is one of the characters that's probably going to get more time after this story, because as I mentioned, the reason the spotlight is on Rachel in Hell Patrol Origin is because we are taking a rookie through the universe for the first time. So we have to take a complete virgin. Otherwise, you as the reader don't know anything because other characters haven't told you. So Lipstick is one of the mentor characters. But when we no longer need a mentor, then we'll probably end up seeing more of her because we'll have to explain less stuff and just be able to go straight into the action and the demon lore and all the cool shit. And when we're ready to just do cool shit all the time, we'll probably see more of Lipstick because she's the best at it. Dodgy Bad, conversely, is actually the opposite of Lipstick in a lot of ways. Dodgy Bad only does zombie hunts. He's not crazy or adrenaline junkie enough to want to kill demons. He is perfectly happy to just kill zombies the whole time. So he has a car that's specifically designed for zombie killing. He doesn't go on demon hunts. He's just all like, fuck it. This is easy enough. I'm making good enough money. I can stop right here. So that's Dodgy Bad. He's the rational quit while I'm ahead. I don't need the excitement. I just need to be comfortable kind of guy. Okay. So, they kill some zombies. It's it's not boring, but it's not very exciting because of course zombies are fragile and dumb. They really are level 1 monsters. It's like, okay, Rachel, go into this basement and kill giant rats until you hit level 2. That's basically what was happening. But more importantly, Rachel accidentally destroys a ritual that summons zombies. And as Henry explains, normally they need to summon an allied demon from the court of Mephistopheles to close these rituals. They can't do it themselves. But because Rachel is a Cambion, because she is actually a half-devil, she has fallen angel blood, she actually has innate blood-based magical authority over demonic magic. So she can actually just literally close the ritual accidentally. That happens, and Lipstick, because Lipstick is the smart one that does all the homework, is like, holy shit, you're a Cambion. You have to be a Cambion because only a Cambion could do that. So Lipstick figures it out. Again, like we said about Lipstick, whatever Lipstick does, she does all the way. She's the fucking rinse, repeat, do your homework girl. Okay. So after they discover she's a Cambion and they close the ritual sites, Henry starts telling Rachel about the Ring of Solomon, which is a bound captive demon that is kept in the Hell Patrol office. Actually, sometimes it's a demon from the court of Mephistopheles, in which case it's more amicable, because it's actually their ally. But other times, it's just actually a captive demon that was loyal to Asmodeus during the war. And those guys are fucking dicks. Because they're stuck there, imprisoned, and they don't want to be there. And if they could get out, they'd go on a killing spree and murder as many humans as they could. But they can't. Thank God. So we learn what that is. And Henry tells Rachel, it's all like, hey, you know, if you got any questions, we could just go talk to the fucking demon and make him tell us. Which is going to happen next chapter, which is pretty cool because we are actually going to get face to face with a demon. This is the closest we will get to an actual demon in the story. I mean, we will see other demons, but we're going to gun them down in a car. This is literally going to be so close to a demon you could spit on it. So we will actually see a real ass demon and get to talk to a demon next chapter. But I do have to warn you about that because the demon is a demon. This is the trigger warning for chapter 13. Demons are foul. They're evil. They're edgelords. They're shitty. Their only purpose on Earth is to spread human suffering in any way that they can. And because he's a bound demon and is incapable of harming people physically, he will instead try to manipulate them and harm them emotionally. Which means that all the stuff that was said in this chapter about snowballing succubus sperm rape babies, which is pretty awful shit, is nothing compared to what the demon is going to say to our heroes in the next chapter, because the only thing he can do is talk shit. So the only thing he will do is talk shit because he's a fucking demon. So don't get it twisted. It's going down, and it's going to get weird, and it's going to get mean. And this might actually be the most vile, edgy, cringy chapter of Hell Patrol coming up. Because demons are dicks. Alright, thanks for listening. We really appreciate it. Come back next time for Hell Patrol Chapter 13 when we talk to a demon. And, also there's Rachel and Johnny fighting and having makeup sex, but that doesn't matter because you don't get to see the makeup sex on YouTube anyways. Bye!